Hi, it's Steve and Joe from Freshagenda, and Steve, we're back this week with a bit of an overview of GDT event number 288, some trade highlights, and of course chart of the week.
Okay, so this was an interesting event, probably one of the more eagerly awaited in recent times, given the significant hacking to the volumes available in coming events for whole milk powder, the volumes on offer, as shown there. So a lot of speculation. Would this bring forward some interest? Would it, spark the market? Things have been drifting for some time.
Sure.
So we've had 6 falls in a row, but now we have 7.
Yeah. So obviously didn't spark it enough.
No. Well, the cuts take effect in the August events.
Sure.
So whether it would have brought any further forward than that, but not to be. And there was also some changes to skim milk powder volumes shuffling later because early demand is considered to be a little weaker. And would that, again, does that make an impression on buyer fervour? So we saw a fall about, we've seen about 9% now in 9 events.
Yeah,
so
not massive, is it?
No, look where we are. We're still elevated over the last few years. But it's brought butter and skim milk powder back into alignment, fairly close values between Europe and New Zealand.
So that premium's all but gone, isn't it?
Just about evaporated. The demand, however, for powders was quite weak.
Yeah.
So the change in volumes didn't actually bring any of that forward at all. Whole milk powder still quite low, and skim milk powder was low last time, was almost the lowest ever last time, and we've just gone a little bit above that. So, buyers sitting back waiting in skim milk powder terms, because that's we've seen fairly foolish prices for a while, and softening prices in Northern Hemisphere. That's going to bring down the New Zealand premium.
Sure.
So powders weak going forward. They're the changes from this event. The main reason for whole milk was a dip in the Chinese interest.
Yes.
Buying just about half the volume sold, but a lower percentage.
Certainly looks like a bit of a trend in that whole milk powder line, doesn't it?
It's dipping down, but it seasonally dips.
Yeah.
These are tonnes, so that's a seasonal dip, and of course I can't show the numbers on the side, given that.
No, we would never do that.
We wouldn't do that. So yeah, there is a trend down. We're at the bottom of the season. We should be going up at this point. So that was a negative tone. And just reminding where we are in terms of the Chinese yuan equivalent prices. So and I've shown there the dotted lines, if you can see them, as averages, 3-year averages. So we're back close to average.
Yeah.
In
sort of returning to trend in.
Yeah. Whole milk powder is still a bit above, but obviously local milk costs are also elevated, so that's
right.
helping.
So still a margin there, but just whether the lack of interest continues.
Yeah. With fats have steadied. Probably we couldn't say consolidated, but they've steadied on GDT at least. So we see last 2 events for AMF, not much change there. We've simply dropped the later prices, and butter, well, it flattened out after some pretty bumpy numbers last time. So
looking more logical.
Yeah. Look, the other thing in the background is relevant. This is trade data from May, which has just been compiled by our team, and that adds up, and it's historical. It feels like a long time ago.
It certainly does.
Adds up to be a gain of almost 5% year on year in total trade. That's MSE means milk solids equivalent.
Yeah.
So the fat and protein in trade.
But once again, we're comparing it to those COVID-impacted 2020 months.
So the orange line is, MSE was lower than the prior years. So yeah, we're still, but we are above. So we're well above 2019 in this month. So it is positive. Good volumes moving. That's where the product movements occurred. So quite a contrast. I mean, powder's up, fat's down, cheese up a little bit. And then you've got mixtures in there, the other products as a mixed bag. So it's still quite a mixed story, and butterfat's got a long way to go before it becomes positive.
It certainly does, and that's really reflecting what were still high prices for product at that time, shipped at that time, isn't it?
That's right. Straight to that point, which is
what great a segue.
So butterfat trade still well down year on year. and you can see where the average shipped prices. So that's before we've seen the recent fall in the last few events. So so there's a way to come off. As that occurs, we might see a reignition, but we're not seeing it much else at the moment. In terms of regions, trade in that period, and this takes the 3 months and the 6 months to May.
Yep.
So a bit of perspective on that timeline, still dominated by the volumes going into China across the board. And then you've got, it's a battle for the also-rans. Southeast Asia, South America still up, and that's a lot about Brazil's requirement, but there's a bit of other trade going into there. But down the bottom, MENA's still quite weak, Middle East and North Africa. But the UK and EU, that's a whole other story in a lot of detail. We won't do that this week. But the UK trade is still well down for fat and cheese imports, that is. And back to your chart of the week, though.
Yeah, look, just to wrap up and stay in Europe, we've seen slightly better news on milk production out of May, a little bit of slippage in terms of commodity values over there. That's obviously going to translate to lower milk prices.
Yeah.
And then we've had this crazy weather, terrible flooding in parts of Europe, in Western
which is slowing
Europe.
Production in July.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag over there in terms of where prices will go. Obviously, the vaccine issues, the opening up and is a little bit more stilted. So yeah, still a lot of uncertainty around in Europe, and obviously a lot of people still on holidays. So
yeah, very much so. So milk prices aren't going to help farmers get a greater lift there. We had one of our lights go out. A greater lift in margin, but with a lot of rain, so that might slow things down as we go forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, look, that's probably all. If you can still see us, we've lost the light. But thanks for watching. The show must go on. The show must go on. It is adjusting, though. I can see that in the light. But anyway, thanks for watching. We'll be back sometime soon.